Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it was very wonderful. This Hare Krishna mantra this mantra itself is very easy. And it's like, I always say, give this example, it's like an elevator. It elevates your consciousness without you knowing you're being elevated. So that's the beauty of it. By just being a part of it, you become elevated. Your consciousness becomes elevated. That's what we want, right? We don't want things, it's very difficult to, practically do something where you have to work hard and then do it and then discipline and then go forward. Though it's nice to hear about it, but on a practical level, it's far more easier to do something where you're being elevated on a more, where you're not doing much, but still you're being elevated. It's nice to have something like that, right? So that's what mantras does to you, that it elevates you. And this Hare Krishna mantra is non-different from the absolute truth. It is the absolute truth, but it's not something very easily perceivable in our at our stage where our minds are still very unevolved. So when our minds evolve to a state where we are purified, then we can actually perceive this Hare Krishna mantra is it's not different from God. So we can actually perceive it. So in the relative world, there is a difference between the knower and the known. So I see you, I am the subject, you are an object in this world. I am the subject, I see you. When I say this sentence, who's the subject? Me. And who's the object? You. Right? So there is a relative difference between the subject and the object. But in the absolute world, the knower and the known both are on the same platform. Both are spiritual. Right? There is no qualitative difference between the knower and the known. So every one of us are innately spiritual and are qualitatively of the same nature as God. There is no difference. And on the nature of, from a quality perspective, there is no difference. So the whole goal of life, I wouldn't say goal. Or maybe you can say the purpose why we are here is to retrace our steps back. There are two ways to learn. One way is to learn by paying, another is to learn by knowledge. So our purpose here is, initially we learn by paying. I get hit, slapped a few times, and then I start learning through knowledge, right? Not by pain, not by someone threatening me. So it's to uncover our real nature through knowledge and see ourselves and see the absolute truth face to face. That's the nature. That's our purpose here. Anything else is a distraction, basically. Anything else we do here is a distraction from that purpose that we are born for. We will be only satisfied. Any other way is a distraction by knowing who we are and by being who we are. Anything else is a distraction, right? So this whole world is meant to, this whole world right now, in a conditioned stage, can very easily make us forget of who we are. We want to get distracted. Entertainment, what is entertainment? It is to distract ourselves from who we are. I'm bored with my existence, please take me over. That's entertainment. I'm too bored with my existence, right? So it detracts us from our purpose. So the goal of life is God realization. That's the goal of life. Right? That's the goal of life. That's the only thing we are here for. Everything else is to make us, like you have a nice building here. So you need a job or something or whatever to pay for this place so that you can come together and then invest your time here. So everything else is meant to serve that prime purpose of realizing our existence, realizing our beauty of our existence, and to revel as that, be that, right? Be as souls. That's the whole point. I don't know how much each one of your backgrounds. I do not know so much, but I hope until this point, whatever I spoke, you were able to follow what I was saying. Today I was going to talk about few aspects of knowledge from the 13th chapter, and how it's going to help us. So before I embark on that, you don't need to have, if you have a book, that's okay. If you don't, also it's okay.
You can share on screen.
You can share on the screen, okay. So, we can't be happy when our minds are uncontrolled. This is the ABC of life. This is life 101. when my mind is uncontrolled, I can't be happy. And everything that we do is basically to control our mind. I think I talked about this the last time I was here. Like for instance, a movie. How do we judge how good a movie is? Of how well it's able to control my mind. For how long can it control my mind? Right? It can control my mind for 10 minutes and it can make me very involved with a scene. Wow, this movie is great. Oh, this girl is so beautiful. This boy is so handsome. He can hold my attention for like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Wow. Oh, she's so polite. Oh, he's so kind. He's so well behaved. So whatever we do in life, how much can it hold my attention? Right? How much can it hold my attention? To that extent, I rate it as being important to my life. Is it not? So we like ourselves, or we like to be in situations where my mind is naturally at a certain place. Right? Everyone is with me? Agrees with me? Right? If my mind can be at a certain place, even sex for that matter, right? My mind, my intelligence, body can all be involved in a very concentrated way at some place for some time. Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. They want elongated tablets, this, that, right? So that I can be happier, because my mind can be intensely absorbed at a certain place. So what spiritual life is trying to tell is, okay, this can hold your attention for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, but not for too long. Now, this is all on the bodily platform. This is all on the level of the body. Now, if you go a little further, say arts, for instance, say music, say innovation, say someone is drawing something. So there's a lot of artwork here. So that is something that can hold your attention for far more longer. Like say an hour or two, or if someone is making a movie, right? It can hold your attention far longer, and so you get far more involved. Say for a scientific invention, someone is researching something, how this works, in his lab. Then what happens? That can hold his attention far more longer, far more easily, and so what happens? He finds it very enjoyable. He likes himself. Is it not? Is it not? So we like ourselves when our minds are controlled, when my mind is intensely absorbed in something for some time. And longer it is, then the happier I am. Right? As I mentioned, sex can do it for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Right? Something like arts can do it for a few hours. In this way, if you keep on going further and further and further, then you say someone whose mind is very serene, like even music for instance, very fast music, it can last maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but music which is very serene, music which can make you go very deep within yourself, you can hold a lot longer. Right? So in this way, if you go further and further, that which can hold your attention forever, that can hold your attention forever, I think I talked about this last time, that is God. Right? Whatever can hold your attention forever, that is God. If you have found that in your life, then you have found God. Right? So anyway, coming to the point, right now where we are, whatever we are trying to hold our attention is all on the gross platform. It's very gross. It's tangible, like some movies or this or entertainment or whatever I'm trying is it's on a gross platform. So the Vedic texts mention, because we seek excitement on that gross platform, we are given this gross body. Why do we have a body made of gross matter? Why do we even need this gross body made of flesh, mucus, bile, urine, stool? It gives me so many problems. I get backaches, I get neck this, so many things. There are so many problems with this body. If only I didn't have this body, like most of my problems wouldn't be, with me. Because I need to eat, I need to, so many problems. Urges, sensations, is it not? So the Vedic texts say, why did, if God gave me this body or whatever, why should I have this body in the first place? So the Vedic texts say, because you seek excitement on a gross platform, you need a gross body. Just like, why did Costco open its center here? Right? Okay, Costco opened a new center in Detroit. Why? Because there was demand here. So, because there was demand, there is supply. So similarly, there is demand on my end to be satisfied on a gross platform. So I have a gross body. So anyway, coming to the point that my attention span is right now going to the gross platform. So I'm just getting distracted too easily, not because I'm bad. I'm not bad for being distracted too easily. I'm again repeating. I'm not bad because I'm being distracted too easily. But there is, of course, one thing bad about me is that whatever I believe can hold my attention doesn't deserve my attention. And because it doesn't deserve my attention, I get distracted. So it's not my fault, it's that object's fault. And it's, one sense, my fault of thinking that object deserves my attention. You see? So, right now, our minds are too distracted. And we just are very random in our habits, random in what we do, what I eat, how I speak. I'm just a random bubble. I can do anything in a given day and I wouldn't be surprised. Right? I'm very unpredictable right now. And because of that, I don't like myself. I don't like myself. Because I'm very unpredictable. Right? I can do anything. So, the Vedic texts say, the first step for yoga, what is the first step to yoga? What is Yoga 101? Bring predictability to your life. In some form, in some way, to some extent. Bring some predictability to your life. So if you bring predictability to your life to some extent, of course not 100%, to some extent, say you wake up at the same time every day. Say you don't eat anything at any day. Any day, any time, anything I eat. You bring some predictability to what you eat, how you eat, when you eat, something. Some predictability you bring. Some predictability you bring to who your partner is in this life. Not too unpredictable. Okay, today someone else, next week someone else, next week someone else, next week someone else. You bring some predictability, some consistency, some order there. Some order. You bring some order there. These major aspects to your life, your partner, what you eat, when you sleep, how you work, what you work. So these things, your work, maybe I can maybe segregate into 4 things you bring order. What you eat, when you eat, how you eat. In terms of eating, you bring some order. When you sleep, how you sleep. When you wake up, you bring some order. And who your partner is, you bring some order. And what your work is, you bring some order. How you work. 4 things. Eating, your mate, your sleeping, your work. You bring some order. So the yoga texts say, if you bring some order to these things, some order, to whatever extent you are comfortable, baby steps, then what happens is, this is called, you can repeat after me, Yama, Niyama. So this is the beginning. Yama and the Niyama is the beginning of yoga. In any yoga for that matter. Bhakti yoga, or Ashtanga yoga, or Jnana, or Karma yoga. Anything, you need some order in your life. You need some predictability in your life. And that will put you in a situation where knowledge can happen to you. Where knowledge can reveal itself to you. God wants to give you knowledge. God wants to give everyone knowledge. Just like rain wants to pour everywhere. Right? So God is interested, everyone. God doesn't see you're a Christian or you're a Protestant. Okay, no. You're a Catholic, okay, you're damned. Or you're a Muslim, okay, you're finished. Or you're a Hindu, okay, no luck, sorry. Bad. No, not like that. So God is, the Bhagavad Gita says, Ishvaraha sarvabhutanam. Ishvaraha sarvabhutanam. It says God is in everyone's heart. Not only if you're born American, God bless America. No, God blesses everyone. Not just America. Blesses Mexicans, Americans, Hispanic, Latinos, Africans, Indians, Hindus, Muslims, Christians. Why just human beings? Even animals, dog, cat, pigs, cows, mosquitoes, anything. Sarva Bhutana. Bhutana means anything that has life. Bhutana. Sarva Bhutana. Everyone. Hriddeshe. In your heart. He's within your heart. Hriddeshe. Hrid means in your heart. Tishtati. He's actually situated there. And he's inspiring you based on what inspiration you desire. So just like that, there is a verse in the Bible, seek him, seek ye, and you shall find him. Something like that, right? Right? There's something like that in the Bible, I think. So, him, or if you desire that I want to understand what is it that is reality, I'm interested in this, then God reveals that knowledge to you. But if I am unregulated, disorderly, random, haphazard, careless, indifferent, lazy, insensitive, procrastinating, who gives a damn? Then, even if that revelation does want to happen, it doesn't end up happening. In and as much, say there is a very clouded lake, you can't see what's underneath the lake. So the lake is very dirty. Say there is a bunch of beautiful diamonds or emeralds or a lot of valuable gems underneath that ocean, for instance, say not the lake, say ocean. But say because of all that industrial waste, the whole ocean is all fully full of waste. You can't see. Similarly, our heart has to be molded right now. That's the goal of this life. The purpose of life, the purpose of every day we live, the purpose of every moment we live is so that we can bring some order to our life and gradually come to a situation where this knowledge is revealed to us from within our heart by God. God reveals this knowledge of what is that knowledge? Of who we are. And when the knowledge is revealed, that very same moment you will realize this is knowledge. There won't be doubt when the knowledge is revealed to you, whether this in and as much when you have a good meal, you won't realize whether I'm full or not, I don't know. I'm doubtful. Can you please tell me I'm happy or not? Can you please tell me? Can you please tell me if I had a good meal? You don't ask someone else. You know it yourself. So similarly, knowledge is self-evident. You know when you are satisfied. this is far better than what I've experienced before. This is really up there. Right? So when that is revealed to you, when your heart is pure and cleansed, you know it yourself. So it helps to bring our life into some order. And how does it happen? It's good to know. It's good to imagine that. Imagine myself being that way. How many of you feel that way? I feel good imagining myself being that way, orderly, right? It's nice. It feels good. But how do you do that? So you do that by coming in association of people who live that way. So when you associate with people who are orderly within their own lives, we gradually make changes to our lives. Gradually that happens in our own lives. But if our association is with people who are very haphazard, who are very unpredictable, who are themselves very insecure, then more of that is going to happen to our lives. Anything how in your life, I mention this very often. So anything how in your life, if I say how do you become more disciplined, how do you become more compassionate, how do you become more kind, how, everything happens, the answer is by associating with people who already possess that. That's the only way. Right? When you are with people very closely, very intimately, and more intense is that association, and more often is that association, more frequent that association is, and faster the change that's going to happen in your life. So anyway, my point of today's discussion, what's the time? 6:50? 50 or 15? 50. Okay. So my goal of today, talk for maybe 10-15 more minutes. So the goal of today's discussion is, what is the symptom of that knowledge? What happens when, what form does that knowledge take? What is knowledge? Is knowledge how to, how to have a new gadget, or or understand how the speaker works, how this projector works, how this body works? What is knowledge according to the Bhagavad Gita? So there are various types of knowledge, but amongst all knowledge, jnananam adhyatma jnana, knowledge of who we are, is the topmost knowledge. I could know so many things. I could pluck a grass from somewhere and then can study it for a few years. Is it not? Right? I can look at this bag and can look at this, plastic. I can say what this is made of, what is the composite, what is this polymer, what is the chemical composition of this polymer, how do they manufacture it, how could you make it better, how could you make it less expensive, how do you localize it? I could just go on and on and on and on. Just the single piece of plastic. So you could look at anything and can study for so long. Anything in this world. But where do I put my attention? What is the best form of knowledge? Right? The Gita says the best form of knowledge is knowledge of the self. Adhyatma jnana. Knowledge of who you are. Because that's what is going to make you more satisfied. Right? Because it's relevant to you. I ask this question a lot. How many of you read the South African newspaper recently? Zambian newspaper? Ethiopian? No one? Why not?
Not recently.
Huh?
It's not recently.
It's not?
No, I just said not recently.
Not recently, okay. But I'm saying like say Ethiopian or Zimbabwean newspaper or...
Oh yeah.
You read, okay. So let me ask you something different. Something that's relevant to you,
Have
So,
you read the Detroit newspaper?
yeah.
I haven't watched the news in years.
But I was going to say, I've not read Zimbabwe newspaper or South African or Ethiopian or whatever it is, or Tanzanian newspaper or Iraq or Iran or whatever. We don't read. I don't follow local Pakistani news. right? The reason is, it's not relevant to me, right? It's Pakistan politics is not relevant to me. Right? It doesn't affect me in any way. So I don't follow it. Right? Similarly, we don't need to know everything. Right? We don't need to know everything. It's good to be ignorant, right? Of things that are not really relevant to me. If someone got bombed, okay, it's something sad, but I don't need to know. Right? If I can't control anything about it, and if knowing about it is not going to help my life in any way, and I can't help anyone about it, right? What use is it after me, right? So knowledge means to first of all understand what is ignorance and what is relevant to me. I don't need to know this. Right? I'm going to miss this. I'm going to avoid this. I'm going to neglect this. I don't need to know this. Right? So this is also knowledge. So knowledge means to know also what is knowledge. Right? To know what is knowledge is also knowledge. Right? So I'm going to read some characteristics of that knowledge so that you understand. And as I mentioned, just to revisit the point, so this knowledge is revealed when we actually make our life a little more predictable. One thing you can do to make your life predictable is, a suggestion is, you can make those things in your life constant that help your life become more predictable. Say, doing mantra meditation makes your life more orderly, so you make that a constant. Say, coming here every week makes your life more predictable, make that a constant. Don't keep that as a variable. Don't say, okay, should I read Bhagavad Gita or not today? No, make that constant. Don't keep that as a variable, because it adds more to your life. It brings huge change to your life. Why do you want to make that something variable? Why do you want to make that as a variable in your life? Make that constant. So we tend to make our desires constant and our spiritual life variable. Make your spiritual life constant and your desires variable. Right? Don't make your desires constant. Right? So make the whatever gathering we have, Sunday gathering at 6 p.m., make that constant. Because it's going to bring more orderliness to your life. And by becoming orderly, you're going to feel, and that's what you want, that's what you're striving for. You want to like yourself, but you're asking 100 people to like you, and then you want to say, 100 people like me, and then I like myself. You make that a lot more difficult for you. Right? You make it very indirect. Right? So we're going to see some characteristics from the 13th chapter. So, orderliness and then knowledge. There's another way to also get knowledge. I'll tell you that secret towards the end. Even without orderliness, there is a secret. Of course, I'll put it that way. There is a secret. If you do that, it will bring you orderliness. Of course, association I already mentioned. There is another way. It brings orderliness very naturally. So I'll mention that as well. So, the first symptom of knowledge is, I'm going to read a few words, few qualities. You can repeat after me. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance. I repeat, humility, pridelessness, tolerance. I repeat, humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance. As I mentioned these, internalize it within yourself. Okay? I again repeat, humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance. Last time, internalize these qualities within yourself again. Okay? Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, and then the next four. simplicity,
Simplicity.
approaching a bona fide spiritual master,
Bona fide spiritual master.
cleanliness,
Cleanliness.
steadiness.
Steadiness.
I repeat, simplicity,
Simplicity.
approaching a bona fide spiritual master,
Approaching a bona fide spiritual master.
cleanliness,
Cleanliness.
steadiness.
Steadiness.
I repeat, simplicity,
Simplicity.
approaching a bona fide spiritual master,
Approaching a bona fide spiritual master.
cleanliness,
Cleanliness.
steadiness.
Steadiness.
So there are 26 qualities here. So I just mentioned 8 as of now. So the first thing that this verse talks about as symptoms of knowledge, or as knowledge, this is not different from knowledge, or these qualities manifest in someone who has knowledge. Right? If someone is embodying these qualities, it must be understood that he is in knowledge. Right? So the first thing is humility. The first thing is humility. So amanitvam. Humility means many things at various levels of our spiritual evolution. But when we begin our spiritual life, humility means to be aware of our defects in an enthusiastic way. So it sounds very contradictory, what I just said. I said humility means to be aware of our defects, to be conscious, to be introspective. So my mind is conditioned in a certain way. My mind is conditioned. When I say conditioned, I'm more or less automated to react in a certain way, and a person reacts to me in a certain way. I don't have much control. That's called conditioned. Conditioned means I'm not independent, I'm not free. If someone acts with me in a certain way, I will respond in a certain way. That's called conditioned. So the state that we all are in right now is called conditioned stage. And yoga is meant to make me unconditioned. This is who we want to be. We want to be unconditioned. We don't want any conditions. I don't want to sleep. Okay, my body must just follow me. Right? But I don't want to grow old. But the body says grow old. So there is a condition on me. There is a disease on me. There is sleep. There is hunger. There is thirst. There is old age. All these are conditions placed by the body. There are conditions placed on my mind, by my mind. You get angry, you get lusty, you get greedy, you get impatient. These are all conditions that my mind is imposing on me. So my mind places some conditions, my body is placing some conditions. These are all conditioned stages. So when we are in the conditioned stage right now, we don't have much control. We don't have much control. So the whole purpose of yoga, what we're trying to do, is to go out of this conditioned stage. And how does this happen? This happens by revelation of knowledge, by God, from God within. So God reveals to you based on your sincerity. Of course, God reveals knowledge from within and also without. Alright? Through the wisdom of ages, through the wisdom of spiritual. There is knowledge from without, and there is also knowledge from within. Both happens. Both happen simultaneously. So this knowledge, this humility is basically when one is aware of one conditioned nature. One recognizes it. Yes, I am like this. I get angry few times. I get angry like this. Yes, I was wrong this time. So one embraces his conditioned nature. He doesn't run away from it. He doesn't deny it. He embraces it. Yes, this is how I am conditioned. Conditioned nature without any falsity, then what happens? You have a choice right now to go over it now. Because you've embraced it. Yes, this is who I am right now. And when you embrace it, this is who I am right now, this is humility. Yes, I get angry. Yes, I'm addicted to this. And it's not great, I know about it. It's not great. I know this. I'm not a saint, I know that. But I do want to become one. So humility is when you're aware of your conditioned stage plus your desire to be perfect. Both of these things have to combine. That is humility. Not that, okay, I am like this, I don't give a damn. This is who I'm going to be. Like I was talking yesterday, there's a t-shirt, right? I am what I am. Mind your own business. So that's not, so there is a recognition of who I am in the conditioned stage, but this person has embraced that conditioned nature as himself. That is a problem. That is not humility. Humility is, this is who I am right now, but I am going to change. I'm going to evolve. And I'm going to become perfect. This belief in that possibility and that agreement to who I am right now, when these both meet together, that is humility. That is humility. So knowledge, so when does this humility happen? It's not a mental state. Humility is when one is revealed from within. This possibility has to be revealed from within. Or in association with saintly devotees, we understand, oh, this is who I am. So you see a person who's very nice, who's very genuine. And when you see a person who's very genuine, who's very orderly, who's very wise, who's very compassionate, who is full of love for God, when you see someone like that, you see a possibility of being like that in yourself also. In him, you're able to see yourself. And that greed for being like that person awakens in you. That's called association. It's called association. So this inspiration from within of the possibilities that exist makes you get the strength to see your defects. You hear what I'm saying? You can't see your defects when you don't know what lies ahead. You get defensive. Someone tells me, your English is like trash. Someone tells me, on my face, I'll get defensive immediately. Right? If I do not know how can I make it better or whatever, if I don't have a good identity within myself, I'm going to immediately feel defensive. Or if I'm out of my mind, I'm going to just say, and you look like trash as well. I'm going to give it back. Right? So something I find in you to put you down because you put me down. Is it not? So what I'm trying to tell you is, you can't be humble. It's not possible to be humble. It's not possible to be humble if I do not know what lies ahead. If I do not know what possibility exists next. Or if I do not know what's the ultimate truth. It's not possible to be humble. I'll give you an example. One more example and then I'll conclude. Say, I think I gave this example here before. Say, there is a class of, when I was small, teachers used to be a little more strict than they are right now. So, say there are a bunch of 10 students in a class. They're all supposed to finish a homework, they're supposed to finish an assignment. And that day, say 5 people finished their assignment, the rest didn't. And the teacher is asking, how many of you finished the assignment? I know it was a tough assignment, how many of you ended up finishing it? And and no one raised their hands. And then it's okay even if you just did 3/4 of it, it's okay. And then five people raised their hand, or whomsoever raised. And this teacher is supposed to be very strict. And the others were hesitant whether to say yes or no, or what to say. They were in a fix. They were not able to be open about their defects. Yes, I didn't do it, but how am I going to be treated if I say the truth? If I say the truth, how will I be treated? Will someone embrace my defects? Or will someone not? So just say, hey kid, don't worry. Even if you did not finish the homework, don't worry. We are going to go over it all over. In this session, in this class, for the next, I'm going to go over the homework for the next 1 hour. Tell me who finished it, who did not finish it. So tell me who did not finish it. And then all the 10 raise their hands. Right? So, what I'm trying to tell you here is, if we know that we are going to be elevated, there is some help that is available. There is a nice social circle around me who's going to help me out. They are friends with me. And what happens? Then it's easier to be humble. It's easier to own up your mistakes. So similarly, when one gets the right or the grace of this God through the instrument of you need strength. You need spiritual strength to be humble. It's not easy to be humble. You need spiritual strength. Right? So that spiritual strength we get through knowledge of who we are. We understand, oh, I am actually a spirit soul. I'm not this body. It's okay if I'm like this right now. I have hope. I have spiritual hope. So what gives us hope? The company of spiritually minded people. And of course, God reveals knowledge to us from within, and that gives us hope because it is based on knowledge. And reading texts again reveals us knowledge and gives us hope. So this hope, this spiritual hope, makes us more and more humble. And that is the first symptom of knowledge. That we become humble, that we become very introspective to our own defects. So if you want to be happy in your life, right, be constantly introspecting your own faults. Take a magnifying glass and look at your faults as if they are the most important thing in your life. And you can't know what your faults are if you do not know what truth is. Right? That is why you read a spiritual text. Right? You understand, you read a spiritual text and you know, me watching TV for an entire day is something I have to be ashamed of. And how do you realize that it's something for me to be ashamed about? You don't feel that way if you don't read if you don't read a spiritual text, or if you don't associate with someone who's on a different platform. You feel that way. You feel that it's okay. This is who I am. This is to be on the couch and watch TV for the entire day is who I am. You feel you've become normalized like that. Just like a tiger, a lion in a circus has become normalized to feel like a useless cat. It's supposed to be ferocious. It's meant to come and just finish it off, and then that's how a lion is supposed to be. The lion has felt normalized to be in a cage and then to follow this person, the circus man. It's felt normalized. Okay, it's been what to say? It's been infatuated. It's been like kind of trained, brainwashed. Sit down, stand here, take this meat. Yeah. The lion has lost its lioness. It's no longer a lion. Similarly, all of us have lost our spiritness, you could say. We've become dull because of associating with matter over and over and over and over and over. We've lost our spiritness. We have lost our life and we've become dull. And we've thought this dull person is who I am. And And that's why we hate ourselves. Because of misidentification. So what to do? Associate with that spiritual text, associate with spiritually minded people, and they'll bring life back to you. You'll feel lively. You'll feel lively. Or else, everything else, TV, television, phone, swiping it endlessly, it'll make you feel dull, it'll make you feel bored, it'll make you hate your existence. You'll hate your existence. And you'll feel bored with everything, you won't feel lively. And others will feel bored around you as well. And you will feel bored whomever you are around with. Right? So the whole goal of life is to kill this association with matter that we are so used to, and bring life by associating with spiritually minded people, and bring back a connection with God from within. Right? So that's what I wanted to talk. Is humility, to recognize where we are falling short. This is where I'm falling short. This is where I'm falling short. And I'm not going to leave like that. I'm going to pounce. I'm going to reclaim my spiritness, if there exists a word as such. So this greed is humility. Humility is not being timid. Humility is being really aware of one's defects on a moment-to-moment platform basis, and then be ready to make change, right? So that's humility. So we'll talk about more qualities, but today, to summarize, we discussed making our life orderly. One, bring some predictability to our life, and that could happen on a daily basis, or it could happen on a weekly basis, whatever you're comfortable. But on the very bare minimum, bring orderliness to your life at least on a weekly basis. And then you come here every week, we talk together about how do we make further progress. So that kind of motivates you, reminds you that this is something that we decided upon and we want to work on, right? So bring orderliness to your life to whatever extent. You know it yourself, and I know it for myself, right? So to whatever extent, bring some orderliness to your life, and then what happens next is gradually you'll understand more things about who you are. You'll realize a lot of things in your life, right? Automatically it happens, right? So, and we discussed today few aspects of knowledge. The first thing we discussed is humility, and humility is when two things intersect, being conscious of the absolute truth. You realize something of the magnitude of something you realize. For instance, you meet someone very kind, and when you realize this is how someone could be kind, so that makes you humble. Right? You see the lack of it in yourself, and you feel humble. Right? So, and you see, this is how someone could be so patient, and then it makes you humble. And you realize this is how someone could be so, I didn't know love for God could be so intense. I thought it's simply going once in a week or whatever. But it could be so intense, and that awareness of it, that acceptance of that makes you humble. So humility is when you become conscious of a higher reality and you see the lack of that in yourself. So when both of these intersect, that is humility. So we'll leave that there and maybe talk on more aspects of knowledge the next week we meet. So any questions or comments that you have, whatever we discussed are welcome, or even otherwise is welcome.
Do you ever watch movies?
I'm sorry?
Do you ever watch movies? Do you ever go to the theater?
Do I watch movies? I mean, if a movie is meant to make me progress more, yes. Because I find things, far more interesting than many movies that come up. A lot more interesting things to read. I have a lot of things to cover that I want to read, right? So I don't think of as, don't watch movies as something that we should have on our mind. I think we should find things that are far more interesting to do than the movies that come out, right? That's how we must look at things, If you have something far more interesting, that is much more engaging, then that's good. If not, then naturally the mind will, go there. It's very natural. So, by good fortune, I have far more exciting things to read, to soak in, to understand, to analyze, and to see it within myself also, and that, engages me, I would say. Yeah.
I was just thinking about appreciating other people's artistry.
Artistry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And creation.
Yeah.
I feel like we're here to create sometimes, and I feel like appreciating good music, good movies, people's expressions, people's art do you find that to be spiritual also?
So, as I mentioned, spiritual life is knowledge. And when I say knowledge, it means to understand things as they are. So, all art, all music, all movies are not the same. Right? We must understand that. Some forms of art can make you more identify with the gross body, some with your mind, and some that can question your mind, and some that actually even, makes you closer to who you are. And some art can actually make you, intensify your love for God. So spiritual life means to see things and discriminate things to what can get me closer to who I am and what can take me farther. Right? So everything is not the same. Everything is not the same. That's one important thing over and over that the Bhagavad Gita talks about. Because there are the three modes, we talked about that. The mode of passion, the mode of ignorance, the mode of passion, the mode of goodness. So, if something is the mode of ignorance, the mode of ignorance makes me ignore reality. That is mode of ignorance. Just like I give the example of, say, swiping the phone, mindlessly, that makes me ignore what is real. Or someone is a sadist, or someone is, full of violence. So there are movies full of violence. There could be arts based on violence. There could be books based on bigotry. There might be books that might be biased, right? There might be an art that is meant to subtly put down someone, right? So there is so much that is going on in a person's mind. From that mind comes that art. So what is the mind of that person who's creating that art? Is it in the mode of goodness? Is it in the mode of passion? Is it in the mode of ignorance? Where from is it coming? We have to see that. So should we appreciate art? Of course, we see goodness in everywhere, of course, that's there. But we must also simultaneously see where it's coming from. And see if meditating on it or maybe associating with it is it going to be good for me or is it not? So that decision is something we have to make. So depending on what my goals are. Just like food, cuisine, there are many good cooks, but not all food is good for me. And someone could say, and many of these foods could be good for the body, but not all foods are good for my mind. So there is a difference. Foods that are good for the body might not be good for the mind. And foods that are good in the morning might not be good in the evening. And foods that are good for a person who is pregnant might not be good for someone who is not. So there is diversity in creation, and there is nuance. There is nuance. Things are not all the same. So spiritual life is not intellectual inertia. I use the word intellectual inertia. I mean, it's not to switch off the intelligence and say everything is the same. You're all one. No, that's intellectual inertia. Right? We have to understand what it is, and then and see what choice to make, what decisions to make that can bring me closer to where I want to go. To actively choose with clarity and precision is spiritual life. That brings me closer to who I am. To bring me closer to the point of self-realization, that being able to decide, choose, with clarity, that discrimination is one of the foundational aspects of spiritual life. Is that clear? Any other questions? Okay. So thank you so much for your time. I hope this helped you further from wherever you started today. So we'll have a mantra meditation right now for 5-7 minutes. What's the time? 7:15?
7:27.
7:27. Play that well. So this is a mantra we chant. So while we chant this, as I mentioned in one of the verses that says how God is situated within our hearts, in all of us. And when we purify our heart, we can actually see God face to face when our hearts are purified. So one way is to purify our hearts and then see and understand God. The other way is through a process called mantra meditation, where the mantra itself is not different from God. And by associating with the mantra, you become purified. So one way is you purify yourself, you do your homework, and then you understand what is God. One. Second way is you associate with God, and by that association you become purified far faster. And by virtue of that purification also you realize, what is God. So from the beginning you're associating with God. So by this mantra meditation, because this mantra is not different from God. This mantra is God.
Is this that secret you were talking about earlier?
Yes. So by associating with this, by chanting this mantra, in my life, to be very honest, I found it very difficult when someone told me, it sounded good when someone told me, like in a session like this, you become disciplined, you do this. Very nice, I'm going to do this from tomorrow. Right? Somehow I believe that whatever I've never done in my whole life, I could change it all over in the next day. I don't know. Somehow I always believe that. Right? I've never done that my whole life, but somehow I feel the next day I'm going to all do it like in one instance. Somehow I felt like that. And every time I used to fail. So, so that was me, and I mean, to some extent that's still me. So, but when I chant this mantra, when I start chanting this mantra, for a period of 1-2 hours, what happened is I got so much strength. Not just strength, I would say a sense of natural purity, I would say. That's the best way to put it. Right? Natural purity, more and more and more. That I found discipline far more easier, magically. I found discipline more natural. I didn't felt I was being disciplined by waking up at a certain time or it felt a little far more natural. And in my own life, that's maybe I would say. And this is not just my recounting it. And many people, there are millions of people today who are chanting this mantra. And this mantra is like 5,000, 10,000 years old. We are talking about. So many people have practiced this mantra, and perfected their lives, become better people, become better spiritually minded people, have perfected it, right? So, and this is something that's tested, tried. So you could also do it at your home. You can take a mantra bead if you want. I think they're like $3-4. So if you want, you can take this bead and then you can chant this mantra like half an hour, or even more. And try this for yourself. You can see how it changes your life. Try this for a week and see how it changes your life. Right? It's free. Right? We don't charge anything. Right? So people give mantras and they charge. I know I went to New York, 2013, and there was a big hotel, and there was a big meeting, and asked, what's happening? There's a guru who's coming. I said, so what's the guru doing? He's giving a mantra. And how much is the mantra? I said, one mantra is actually 3,000 some bucks. So if you give $3,000, then you get a mantra. It's like, wow. So he gives the mantra to you and you chant it and wow. And someone had to skip a month's rent to actually pay for that mantra. So in New York you can imagine Manhattan it's like $2,000, $3,000 to pay for a month's rent. Right? So people charge so many things, So but traditionally I was talking to Truth also the other day, maybe a few months back. So traditionally, no one charges for two things: education and food. You don't charge. You don't ask money. It's insulting to give food to someone and say, "You pay so much money to me." It's insulting. In traditional spiritual culture, Eastern spiritual culture, it's insulting to say, okay, you take food, you give me so much money. It's insulting actually. And the same thing goes for spiritual knowledge. That you give spiritual knowledge to someone and you say, give me so much money. It's insulting. Right? So, because that person who receives spiritual knowledge is meant to apply it in his own life and is meant to continue to be a student. That is his fee. And if he pays that fee, he will understand it. If he doesn't pay that fee, he will not understand it. Anyway. Right. So anyway, that's a digression. I digressed. But so this mantra, you could chant it at your place. And I'll tell you how to use the beads if you're not aware. You take the middle finger and you take the thumb, and as you can roll over the first bead, and as you roll it over, you chant the mantra that you see on the screen: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Not too loudly or not just within your mind so that you doze off, right? So that you kind of, maybe you can say like a mumble. Not too loud to disturb someone else, not too silent that puts you asleep. Right? So that's the best way to chant it. The ideal sound, decibel. So, and as you finish one bead, you move to the next one and move to the next one until you complete the last one. And if you want to do one more, because this has 108 beads, it takes 5-7 minutes to complete, 7 minutes to complete it. And if you want to do one more when you are at home, just do it once more, the reverse way. Right? And this way you go one by one. So if you want to do it for half an hour to start with, it takes, you finish it 4 times. 4 times you finish it. Like 4 into 108. If you do it for half an hour, maximum it takes half an hour. For some people it takes just 20-25 minutes, depending on how fast you are or how attentive you could be. So So right now we'll do this for 108 times. So all you have to do is roll over your beads and just start this mantra. You don't have to do anything. The mantra does everything for you. You just do it attentively and you try to be present within that mantra. Try to be with that mantra as much as possible. Right? So we can begin. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna.